Hi guys, it's Dale with the insurance. Today we're going to talk about an article um, that's kind of serious. The title of the article is your small business protected from ADA lawsuits, right? So ADA stands for Americans with Disabilities Act, right? It was an act that was brought to bear or created in 1990. Um, and as its name suggests, it was issued to protect those Americans with disabilities from being discriminated against, right? Whether it be in the workplace or regarding kind of public services or communication or anything like that. Um, Now, this article, and we by no means are painting all ADA lawsuits with the same brush, right? But that being said, um, it would be disingenuous not to recognize the growth in ADA lawsuits. I mean, back in 2013, there were about, call it 2,500 to 3,000 lawsuits filed. Nowadays, that number is over 11,000, right? So that's tremendous growth. Not all of them are bad. Not all of them are kind of serial ADA litigators, right? Um, but some are. And for a small business, one lawsuit can put you out of business, right? Now, these lawsuits range from kind of not having proper access to your business, not having proper access to your bathroom, to something like hanging a mirror too high as to not allow a person in a wheelchair to see themselves, right? Um, for a larger company, this may not be a big issue, right? Representing yourself, representing the company, or even settling outside of court for each one of these claims, they may be so small that a large company can absorb that. But as we alluded to in the beginning, for a smaller establishment, the time, the money invested could disrupt daily operations, right? So there are ways to protect yourself. There are policies that you can purchase that would add a layer of protection. General liability, errors and omissions, EPLI coverage, employer's liability, employer's practice liability coverage, and then an umbrella, right? Those all would provide kind of legal expense cover if you were hit with an ADA lawsuit. But perhaps outside of and you should make sure, if you don't already have either one of those policies, make sure you go ahead and purchase one. But outside of that, and perhaps the better option is to preemptively address any ADA compliance regulations that you may have, so you can prevent ever having a lawsuit filed against you in the first place. And you do that by kind of hiring a kind of a certified, trusted ADA access compliance advisor, right? And this wouldn't be just one time, but this advisor would make sure that you're in compliance with the current ADA regulations. This wouldn't be once. This would need to be done similarly to an audit almost, right? And you would need to heavily document it, right? And not heavily document it as to not just to prevent any lawsuits from occurring, because that may not be realistic. But if you were to find yourself in court defending yourself for an ADA lawsuit, you'd have kind of an entire history documented of where you were trying to mitigate and address different ADA regulations, which would obviously give you cover and help in the case of a lawsuit. So very, very, very serious topic. As I stated, ADA lawsuits are not all done in bad, let's say, in bad health, right, in bad favor. But there are some that are trying to perhaps take advantage of this act in particular. And if you're a small business, you probably need to make sure you're covered. So thanks for stopping by. Hopefully this was helpful, and we'll talk to you next week.